Mitas, and live Q&A is back in this group. It's back every single week. So I will see you here every single week. So this is at this time. I'm a little bit late today, so apologies for that. So 10:30 a.m. Melbourne time, or in the USA, it's the night before, which is Wednesday evening. So today I'm going to give you 5 techniques to use when your clients fall asleep on you, because they do. So there are some clients that as soon as they basically close their eyes, they go too deep, and there is such a thing as going too deep. So I know that some trainers will say to you, it's okay, the subconscious mind is always listening to everything around it. But my experience has been that this is not the case. My experience has been that the results are not the same when the clients are actually asleep. So let's look at the 4 levels of trance at a very basic level. And this is the way that I explain it to clients. They understand what hypnosis is. So in beta, we're actually talking consciously to the client. So very, very conscious, and we're talking consciously to the client. I'm not quite sure why I can't see anybody. So if you are watching, please let me know by telling me where you're from. And if you're watching this later, please put the word replay. Alpha is when the clients are in a very, very light trance. In theta, they're in a deeper trance. And in delta, that's when they're asleep. So what I'm talking about is clients who basically go really rapidly down here and then they fall asleep. So what do you do when that happens? You can't continue a whole hypnosis session with them here in delta. It's just not going to be effective, is my opinion. That is my opinion. So what do we do so that we make sure that the client doesn't stay in delta when we're conducting a hypnosis session? So once again, if you do like this video, please put your comments below. Everything is going to get uploaded to YouTube, so please comment there as well. And make sure that you tune in every week at this time. So Facebook is telling me to put a new tip here. Share with another group. It's telling me share with another group. Can it share with itself? There's a new tip on Facebook which says share with another group, which is really weird. So what do we do? How do we keep our clients up here? So we access the subconscious mind here and here in alpha and theta. So what do we need to do? If you are listening, please tell me you're listening. Please put your name there. Tell me where you're from. If you're watching a replay, please put the word replay, everybody. So that, just reminding everyone that I am going to be doing this live Q&A in this group every single week at this time. So send in your questions to helen@helenmitas.com. Or if you like, put your questions right now and I will answer them. But the question that I'm answering right now is, what do you do when your clients fall asleep? Because as much as other people tell you that, it's okay, the subconscious mind is listening, I don't believe that. From my experience, they're not getting the same results when they're asleep, which is when they're in delta. So we need to bring them up. So what are the 5 techniques that I use to make sure that we bring them up? First of all, make sure that you realize that with this particular client, it's almost guaranteed that clients who tend to go into delta very quickly, get into delta very quickly every single time. And so what I would do is put a dirty big heading in their file which says no deepness, because when you see a lot of clients, you forget which ones are the ones that go down really, really quickly. So make sure you put that in their file, which is no deepness. So you don't need to deepen a client that's already too deep. So we know that the common way of putting someone into trance is by giving them an induction and then giving them a deepener. So for clients who are already too deep, we don't give them deepeners. And in fact, the induction should be very, very, very short. So what I would recommend with clients who go too deep and they fall asleep very quickly, what I would recommend is that you do a rapid or an instant induction. So you do something very quickly, a shock tactic, and then you go straight into therapy. You don't need to do a big induction and a deepener for someone who's already there, because the purpose of doing that is to get them here or here in these two states, not down here where they're asleep. Okay, technique number 2. Say their name. So people respond when they hear their name. So make sure that you say their name during the hypnosis session. Technique number 3, make sure that you ask for a response. So it might be that their head to nod or their finger to raise, or you ask them to respond back by speaking to you, in which case you would say, allow the voice to speak and ask your question. So there's constant interaction between you and the client. You're not actually just talking to someone who's not there. They've gone somewhere else into their dream state. Technique number 4 is put them in a chair that's not a recliner. So a straight chair. So they're not that comfortable, because sometimes as soon as they, their anchor is a recliner, means straight to sleep. So put them in a chair that's not that comfortable. Technique number 5 is, I've done this before with plenty of clients, is I get them to have their arm up during the entire session. If they're in trance, they're not going to mind having their arm up. So, and I would suggest that that arm is harder still, harder still, harder still. And keep that arm there for the whole time that you hear my voice, just keep that arm there, and it's harder still, harder still. And they keep their arm there, and that prevents them from dropping into that delta state. It might seem strange, it might seem weird that you're asking a client to do that, but they're fine, they're in trance, they can do anything. So, keeping that arm up the entire time that they're in that session. So there are my 5 techniques. I'll quickly go through them again. 1, make sure that you do note your file, no deepener for next time. So you don't deepen them, you don't give them a long induction, you give them a rapid or an instant induction. That's technique number 1. Number 2 is say their name. Use their name a lot during the hypnosis. Number 3, get them to nod or to raise their finger or to respond by asking them a question. Allow the voice to speak and then ask the question, so they're responding back, and it keeps them in that higher state of consciousness. Technique number 4, put them in a chair that's not a recliner, so that they are just a little bit less relaxed, and that way they don't drop down into that deep state. Technique number 5 is get them to raise their arm, hand of steel, arm of steel, arm of steel, and just leave it up there. So I hope that's been helpful. If it has, please put your comments down below. And remember, I'm back to do this. I'm back to do this. That's great English, Helen. So I'm back doing this every week for live Q&A. So send your questions to helen@helenmitas.com, and I will answer them during this time every single week. I hope that's been helpful. See you later.